Hello and welcome. My name is Savannah, and today we will be playing around with different variations of sun salutations. Some variations will be faster and more challenging and a bit stronger, and others will be more mellow and slower. This class is great for all levels, and we will begin in a kneeling position at the back of our mat. You can have your eyes open or eyes closed. And we'll just start to tune into the breath before we begin to move. Notice if you're breathing in through the nose or in through the mouth. Notice how your breath sounds. Notice which parts of your breath you can tune into the easiest. And then notice if your inhale is longer than your exhale, or if your exhale is longer than your inhale. Just notice whatever you are able to notice about your breath without changing anything. Let's take a few more breaths here. Slowly begin to open your eyes if you had closed them. And let's stand up in our kneeling position, shoulders over top of the knees. Hips over the knees, nice and stacked here. Crown of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. Let's bring our hands together at our heart center. Inhale here, reach the arms up. Look up. And then sit your hips back onto the heels. Forehead comes down to the mat. Child's pose. From here, start to come forward onto your belly into cobra pose as you lift your heart up. Press into the hands. Crown of the head up towards the ceiling. Come down onto your belly, onto your mat, and then press back into your child's pose. Hips sit down onto the heels, forehead down onto the mat. Breathe here. And then stand up onto your knees, arms reach up overhead, look up towards the hands. Hips sit down onto the heels, arms stretch out long, come to your child's pose. Inhale, stretch out long, come onto your belly, press into the hands to lift up through the chest, through the heart center. Think of pulling your elbows back, pull your hands back to activate your triceps. Lower down and press yourself back into your child's pose. Let's continue with this. From your child's pose, stand up onto your knees, arms reach up to the sky, look up towards the hands, and then hips come down onto the heels, arms stretch out long, forehead down onto the mat. Let's go through this again. Slither forward onto your belly like a snake. Press up into your cobra pose. Pull the hands back towards your feet. Lift the chest up a little bit more. Lower down, belly to the mat, chest to the mat. Press back to child's pose. Big toes together, hips to the heels, forehead down. Stand up onto your knees, hips over knees, shoulders over the hips. Arms reach up, gaze up towards the hands. Hips to the heels, child's pose, forehead comes down. Slither forward like a snake. belly, chest, hips come down to the mat. Rise up into your cobra pose. Exhale, lower down. Come back to child's pose. Hips come down onto the heels, arms stretch out long. As you're ready, come up into that kneeling position. Let's do one more round here. Look up, arms up overhead. Come into your child's pose. Hips softly come down onto the heels. Forehead rests down onto the mat. And then slither forward towards the top of your mat with your chest. Lower all the way down to the ground. Press into your hands to lift yourself up into a little cobra. Lower the chest and the forehead back down. Press into the hands to come back into your child's pose. Forehead down to the mat. Hips to the heels. Come into that kneeling position, arms reach up, look up, inhale here, exhale, hands come down through heart center. Great job, that was our first variation of our sun salutation. Let's move on to the next one. Bring the hands onto the hips and step the right foot forward toward the top of your mat. Inhale, reach the arms up. You can look up towards the hands if you like. And then hands come down, framing the right foot. Start to now straighten the right leg. Walk the hands back towards the left knee. Find a nice long spine. And then if you like, you can fold forward. Inhale, come back into that low lunge. Arms reach up long overhead. You can look up towards your hands. And then exhale, come into half splits, beginning to straighten your right knee. Hands walk back. One more time. Bend into your right knee. Arms reach up, gaze up. And then exhale, straightening into the right knee. Hands walk back. Just as a transition, now bend into your right knee. Hands on your hips. Step that right knee back, other side. Left foot steps forward, hands on the hips. Arms will reach up, now gaze up towards those hands. Moving into half splits, hands come down next to the left foot. And start to straighten the left knee out, walking the hands back alongside the left knee, alongside the left leg. Inhale. Bend into the left knee, arms reach up, low lunge, look up, exhale, straightening into the left knee as much or as little as you like and folding forward. Inhale once again, look up, bending into the left knee, coming into your low lunge, and then half splits, straightening into the left knee, folding forward. Bend into your left knee, hands come on your hips, and step back into your kneeling position. From here, come into a tabletop. Shoulders over the wrists, hips over the knees. Start to walk your hands forward towards the top two corners of your mat. Hips stay stacked over top of the knees. Rest your forehead down, puppy pose. Find this opening across your chest, through your shoulders, and maybe also in your upper back. Breathe here. We'll stay here for a couple more breaths. Let's walk the hands back in, come into tabletop, and then come back into that kneeling position. That was one round. We'll continue on. Step the right foot forward, coming into your low lunge, reach your arms up, gaze up towards the hands. Hands come down, move into your half splits. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, bend into your right knee, arms sweep up overhead, look up. Exhale, straightening into the right leg, folding forward. Once again, bend into the right knee, arms up, low lunge. Fold forward into your half splits, allowing the right knee to start to straighten out. Bend into the right knee, hands come to the hips, come back to your kneeling position. This time, left foot will step forward, low lunge, arms reach up, inhale, exhale, hands come down, framing the left foot, fold forward as much or as little as you like. Bend into that leg, once again, low lunge, exhale, half splits, fold forward. Inhale, low lunge, exhale, half splits. Inhale, low lunge, hands just come onto the hips, and then step back into your kneeling position. Come to tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over the knees, and then walk your hands out into your puppy pose. So your hips will stay stacked over the knees, forehead can rest onto the mat. If it doesn't reach the mat, that's okay. You can lift it up over the mat. Arms are extended out long, and we'll breathe here for about 3 more breaths. Notice where in your body you feel this pose. One more breath. Good, let's walk the hands back in, come into your tabletop, and then stand up onto your knees once again, hands come to your hips. Let's do one more round of this variation. Step the right foot through towards the top of your mat, reach the arms up, low lunge, look up towards the hands, and then exhale, come into your half splits. Find a stretch for the right hamstring, the back of the right leg. Inhale, low lunge, reach up, look up, find space through the spine. Exhale to fold forward over the right leg. Inhale, look up, lift the arms up, find some space and length. Exhale, fold it down over the right leg. Low lunge, this time hands come on the hips, step back. Moving on to the other side, left foot forward, low lunge, arms reach up, look up, bending into the left leg a little bit more. And then hands come down to frame that leg, send the hips back. Exhale, half splits, find a stretch for the back of the leg. Inhale, low lunge, reach up, look up, find some more space. Exhale, half splits. Inhale, low lunge, look up towards the hands. Exhale, half splits. Send the hips back. This time low lunge, but with the hands at the hips, and then step back into your kneeling position. Hands come down, find your tabletop, and we'll come into that puppy pose. Hands walk towards the top 2 corners of the mat. Hips stay high, melt the heart down towards the ground. Stay here in this pose and breathe for 2 more breaths. Good, come back to tabletop. From here, in your tabletop, tuck all 10 toes under and lift your knees up just to a hover. Staying here for 1 breath. Set your knees down, walk your hands a little bit further from where they were. With the toes tucked under, lift the hips up and back into your first downward facing dog of class. Right from here, make your way to the top of your mat. Feet meet the hands. You can bend your knees as much as you like. And then inhale, halfway lift. We'll bring the hands to the shins. Look forward towards the front of your room. Lengthen out through your spine. Fold forward. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Reach the arms up. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms down. Step the feet back. Lower the knees down. Come to tabletop with the toes tucked under. Lift the knees up just to a hover. We'll hold here for a few more breaths than we did the first time. Keep the knees very low to the ground and feel the strength that you're building in your shoulders and in your core, as well as in your quadriceps, the front of your upper legs. Good, set the knees down, take your hands a little bit further from where they were. Take the hips up and back into downward facing dog. We'll take a couple of breaths here in our downward facing dog. You can find any movement that feels good for you. And then look forward to your hands. Make your way to the top of your mat once again. As we come into our halfway lift, you can bend the knees as much as you like. Hands come to the shins. Lengthen out through the spine. And exhale to fold forward. Over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Reach up, look up. Hands come down through heart center. Look down towards the fingers. Inhale, look up, lift the arms up. Exhale to fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, hands come on the shins, lengthen out. Hands plant down, fingers spread nice and far apart. Step both feet back into a plank. And then set the knees down onto the ground, come into tabletop. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees up to a hover. We'll hold here for about 3 breaths. Good, just one more breath. Set your knees down. Take your hands a little bit further out in front from where they were. Toes tucked under. Lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. You can find movement or you can stay in stillness in your down dog. It's completely up to you. Let's move on now. So look forward to the top of your mat. Make your way there, feet to the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward, fold. Head towards the ground. Inhale, all the way up, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Look down to the fingers. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to fold forward. Torso rest down onto the thighs. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen out. Hands plant down, fingers spread nice and far apart. Step both feet back into plank. We'll hold right here for 1 breath. Set the knees down, bring the hands a little bit closer in towards the knees. Tuck the toes under, lift the knees up to a hover. Just 1 more breath. Set the knees down, make your way back into downward facing dog. Hips come up and back, and breathe in the pose. Settle in and breathe. One more round. Look forward to your hands. Make your way there, feet meet the hands. You always have the option to step or hop. It's up to you. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out through the back body. Exhale over the thigh, fold over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Reach up, look up. Hands come down through heart center. Exhale, look down to the fingers. Inhale, reach up, grow tall. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fingers spread nice and far apart as you step back into plank. Hold plank for one breath. Set the knees down onto the ground. Bring the hands a little bit closer towards the knees. Tuck the toes under and lift the knees up to a hover. Just a couple more breaths in this hovering tabletop. Good, set the knees back down to the mat. Make your way into your downward facing dog. Fingers spread nice and far apart. It's okay if the heels don't reach the mat. Think of lifting the hips up a little bit higher if you can towards the ceiling. Settle into your downward facing dog for a couple more breaths before we move on. From here, look forward to your hands. Make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up. Hands come down through heart center. From here, sit down into your chair pose. Reach your arms up. Hold here. Sit your hips a little bit farther back behind you and then closer towards the ground. Come up to stand. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sit down into your chair. Come up to stand, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come up to stand. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, come up to stand. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Just stay here and breathe. Notice how your body is feeling at this point in your practice. Notice how you are feeling. Notice the thoughts in your mind. Let's reach up. Inhale, look up. And then exhale, we're going to come all the way down onto the mat. We're going to roll down onto our back. So bend the knees, allow your hips to come down. Bring your hands to the back of your thighs, to your hamstrings. Roll back, and then plant your feet down. Come all the way up to stand. We'll do this a few more times so you'll get the hang of it. Inhale, look up. And then bring your hips down, hands to your hamstrings, roll back. And then release the hands from your legs, come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale to sit all the way down. Hands come to your hamstrings. Roll back. Hands release from the legs. Inhale, come up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Good, let's try this one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands come down to your hamstrings. Rock back along the length of your spine and come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Good. From here, inhale, reach up. Exhale, let's sit down onto the mat. Hips come down, come into boat pose. Hands come to the hamstrings. From here, plant the feet down, hands plant behind you, fingers facing the top of the mat or the sides of the mat if that feels better for your wrists. Press into the feet and into the hands to lift the hips up. Reverse tabletop. Think of bringing your feet back towards your hands. This will wake up the hamstrings, the back of your thighs. Let's sit the hips down, and then from here, reach forward and try to come up into chair pose. Leaning the weight forward and then coming into chair pose. Inhale, stand up. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Great job. Let's try that a few more times. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, start to sit the hips all the way down onto the mat. Come into boat pose. You can have the hands on your legs, or hands can be in the air, using a little bit more core strength. Arms extended out long, fingertips reaching towards the feet if you like. Reverse tabletop now. So hands and feet plant down, fingertips facing however you like, pressing into the hands and feet to lift the hips up, and then think of bringing the feet in towards the hands to wake up and activate the hamstrings. Lift up the hips a little bit more. Good. Set the hips down, lean your weight forward so you lift the hips up. The feet are planted, and then start to rise up into your chair pose. Come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Take a couple of breaths here before we do our next round. Great, moving on. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, allow the hips to come all the way down to the mat. Boat pose. Arms, hands can be wherever you like them. To the back of the legs. Maybe you try to extend the legs straight. Good. Plant the feet down, plant the hands down. Press into the hands and feet to lift the hips up. Bring the feet towards the hands to activate the hamstrings once again. And then allow that to help you lift the hips a little bit higher towards the ceiling. Release from your reverse tabletop. And then come up through chair pose, leaning forward, arms reach forward, come up towards chair. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. From here, inhale, chair pose, bend the knees, set the hips low towards the ground. Set your right knee down to the mat. Inhale, low lunge, variation. Set the left knee down to the mat. Arms still reaching up. Step up with your right foot, and then step forward with your left foot. So you're back in chair. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Good. Inhale, reach up, chair pose. Set your left knee down, and then set the right knee down. Step your left foot forward, and then step your right foot forward, chair pose. Inhale to come up to stand, hands come down through heart center. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, chair pose. Right knee comes down to the ground, then the left knee. Toes can be tucked or untucked. Step the right foot forward, and then the left foot forward. Chair pose. Sit your hips a little bit lower, and then come all the way up to stand. Hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach the arms up. Come down into your chair pose. Set the left knee down to the ground, and then the right knee down. From here, step the left foot forward, and then the right foot forward. Inhale, come all the way up to stand from your chair pose. Hands come down through heart center. Good. Pause here and just tune into your breath. We'll take 5 breaths before we move on. If you like, you can close your eyes. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice the pace of your breath. Is the inhale longer than the exhale, or is the exhale longer than the inhale? Inhale, let's reach the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, moving into some half sun salutations. So we did these earlier. Let's do a few more now. Inhale, halfway lift from your forward fold. Exhale, fold forward once again. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Reach the arms up. Inhale, look up. Exhale, hands come down. Look down to the hands. Inhale, look up. Reach the arms up. Exhale, fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Find length through your spine, and then fold down over the legs once again. Inhale, look up, tall mountain, reach up. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Inhale, look up, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, tall mountain, reach all the way up. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Let's make our way now to the back of our mat, standing. And let's reach the arms up here, tall mountain. Gaze up to your hands. Exhale, fold forward over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, walk your hands out towards plank pose, hands to the top of your mat. And then exhale, downward facing dog. From here, hands walk back to your feet, back of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to rise, tall mountain. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach up, tall mountain. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Lengthen out the spine, and then walk your hands out into plank pose. Fingers spread nice and far apart. Make your way back to downward facing dog. Hips lift up and back. Walk your hands back to your feet, back of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands come down. One more here. Inhale, reach up. Tall mountain, look up. Exhale, fold forward from the hips. Exhale, halfway lift, hands come to the shins. And then exhale, walk your hands out to plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog. Hips lift up and back towards the ceiling. Walk your hands back to your feet, back of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand, tall mountain, reach up. Exhale, hands come down to heart center, look down to your fingers. From here, inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your hands down, walk your hands out to plank. And from here, lower down onto both forearms into a forearm plank. Lower down into Sphinx pose. So shoulders are over the elbows. Press into the forearms and into the hands to lift up through the chest a little bit more. We'll stay here for 3 more breaths before we move on in this sun salutation. From here, tuck the toes under and lift up into a forearm plank. Press into the forearms and into the hands, as well as the feet, the balls of the feet. Then come up onto the hands into your plank. From here, lift the hips up and back into your downward facing dog. Let's make our way to the top of our mat now. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold down over the legs. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Look down to the fingers. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale to fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands down. Step the feet back into plank. And come down onto both forearms into a forearm plank. Lower all the way down into Sphinx. The shoulders are over the elbows. Press into the forearms and the hands to lift up through the chest and the crown of the head a little bit more, opening up through the heart center. Stay here and breathe for 3 more breaths. From here, tuck all 10 toes under and lift up into a forearm plank. Then come up into a high plank, coming up onto both of your hands. Lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Stay here for 3 breaths before you do a few more rounds. Let's look forward now, moving on, top of the mat, feet meet the hands. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out. Exhale, fold over the legs. Inhale, come up, all the way up to stand. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms down, step both feet back into plank, and then lower the forearms down into your forearm plank. Right away, lower all the way down, hips down, legs down to Sphinx. Lift up through the chest. Press into the forearms. Allow the forearms to pull back towards your feet, back of the mat, to open up through the spine a little bit more. Reach the crown of your head up to the ceiling. From here, tuck the toes under behind you and lift up into your forearm plank. Lift the hips up. Come up into your high plank, coming up onto both hands. And then come to down dog, reaching the hips up and back. Settle into your down dog and breathe for a couple more breaths. Good. Look forward to your hands. Make your way to the top of your mat. Inhale. Hands come to the shins, lengthen out, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to stand. Exhale. exhale, hands come down through heart center. One more time, inhale, reach up. Exhale to fold down over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen out. Plant the palms down, fingers spread nice and far apart. Step the feet back into plank. Lower down onto both forearms. Into your forearm plank. Lower down into Sphinx. Shoulders over the elbows. Press into the forearms and pull the forearms back towards your feet. This will engage and wake up your spine. Maybe also your shoulders and your chest. Allow your heart to open up here. Let's stay here and breathe for a little bit longer. Tuck your toes under, lift up from here into your forearm plank. Lift up into plank, coming up onto the hands, and then press yourself back to down dog. Let's move on to some low lunge salutations. Step the right foot through in between the hands, lower the left knee down, and reach your arms up. Stay here and breathe for a couple of breaths. If it feels better for your shoulders, you can bring your hands down through heart center or hands to your hips. Your shoulders may be feeling a little bit tired at this point in class. Let's bring the hands down and step up to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Step the right foot back. Lower the right knee down and reach your arms up. One more breath here, low lunge on the other side. Again, you can bring your hands together at heart center or hands to your hips if that feels better. Bring your hands down, tuck the back toes under and step your left foot back to down dog. Right away from here, step your left foot forward. Bring the right knee down, reach your arms up, low lunge. Think of bringing your back knee and your front foot a little bit towards one another to engage the thighs, particularly the inner thighs. This will allow you to feel a little bit more stable in this pose to support you. Bring the hands down, top of the mat, step up. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Step back with your right foot now, releasing the back knee down. Arms can reach up, or hands can be wherever else you like them. We'll take a few breaths here. Inhale to find some length through your spine, and exhale to settle into the pose. Good, bring the hands down, tuck the back toes under, and step back into your down dog. 2 breaths here in your downward facing dog. Lower onto the knees. Big toes come together. Knees can be closer together, farther apart. It's up to you. Let's come into a child's pose. On your next inhale, come up into a tabletop. Exhale, round your spine. Inhale to arch, look up, lift the tailbone. And then exhale, come into child's pose. Take a few breaths here in your child's pose. On your next inhale, come up into a tabletop. And on your exhale, round into the spine. Inhale, look up, arch your spine, lift up through your heart. And then come into your child's pose. Take a few breaths here. On your next inhale, come up into tabletop. Round your spine. Inhale, arch your spine, look up. And then exhale, child's pose. From here, make your way down onto your back. Take your time to get there, there's no rush. We'll finish off our class with a twist on our back. So bending the legs are at about 90 degrees, arms come out into a T, and just release the legs over towards the right. And then you can leave your head where it is, or you can look towards the left hand if you like. Allow the left knee to stack on top of the right knee, left hip over the right hip. Allow both shoulders to ground down onto your mat. Settle into this twist and breathe for a few more deep breaths. Allow your breath to flow in through the nose and out through the nose. Let's release and take this twist on the other side. So bring the legs back through center, and then as you're ready, take them over towards the left-hand side, releasing them to the ground. And you can look wherever feels good for you. Option to look towards the right hand. Allow the right hip to settle on top of the left hip. Right knee over the left knee. Both shoulders ground down towards the earth. Neck and shoulders are relaxed. Head rests heavy onto the mat. Three more breaths. Connect in with your breath. From here, take your legs back through center, release from your twist, and make your way into Shavasana. Legs can go long, feet go to the top two corners of your mat, arms take up lots of space on the ground next to you. Hands can open up or palms down. Shoulders root down once again in this pose. down towards the ground. If it feels better for you, you can have your legs, your knees bent. Maybe the knees knock in towards one another and the feet go wide towards the sides of the mat. Or you can bring the soles of the feet together and the knees open up wide for Baddha Konasana. Wherever you are in your Shavasana, just make sure that you are comfortable. Allow yourself to fully rest here, taking this opportunity for integration of all of those sun salutations we practiced today. Receive all of the benefits of this wonderful movement, the opening of the body and the opening of the mind. And can you allow yourself to open up to all of the possibilities that exist around you? Feel your body take up this space on your mat. Feel your mat support you. Become aware of how you are feeling at the end of your practice. There is no right or wrong, good or bad. So try not to judge or label, but just notice and observe. Can you drop into this present moment? Sink in. And allow everything to start to come to you. Can you let go of what is no longer serving you at this time? Allow your body to be still. And as your body is still, that will help your mind to come to stillness as well. Your thoughts may quiet down. Can you sense into your heart beating? And then can you sense back into your breath? What is the quality of your breath now? And what is the pace of your breath like now? notice if your inhale is longer than your exhale, or if the exhale is longer than the inhale. And then once again, can you fully settle into this pose, Shavasana? Drop into this present moment and allow yourself to take this opportunity of rest. Please stay in this position, resting for as long as you would like. Coming out of Shavasana only when you feel ready. Thank you so very much for taking this time out of your day to move your body, to take care of your mind, to find what feels good. Thank you so very much for practicing with me, for sharing your energy with me. If you enjoyed this practice, I would love it if you left a comment in the comments below, gave it a thumbs up, like, or you subscribe to my channel if you have not already. Thank you so very much for your support. I hope you have a wonderful day.